Howdy, howdy, pirates. Soul Hex here, and going to do some little builds for the Nemesis X and the Saturn. But first, before the builds, you have to know the targets. So let's, first off, look at the targets and see what it is we're talking about. So these are we're going to be dealing with. This is going to be assault raid, and we're going to deal with subs. But not to worry. They say they're going to surface. Whenever they get they get close to you. So that's always a good thing. Um, let's see. So basically, it's going to be corrosive and penetrative, and they kind of outlined what it is that we'll need for this. So the main worries will be the stonefish because they'll and they're missile based. Uh, then let's see, penetrative, yes, and then ghost crawlers are going to be very difficult because they're going to be high corrosive defense. So this is for the Saturn people to worry about is this ghost crawler. It's going to be harder to kill than for say the Nemesis X, but there are buildings that are in the assault targets that will boost the defenses of the ghost crawler. So that means that it'll be harder for these things to die if they're in the range of the buildings. So and a new type of mechanic that's going to be going are these things called fog banks, where you could go inside them and you'll be able to not be seen by ships. The only ship that will be able to see you is this little viper fish right here, and it'll be able to see you. So be mindful of that. But you could hide in the fog banks, and you could still actually shoot at the ships. So that could be a type of tactic and that stuff. We haven't seen what the assault targets were going to look like. Hopefully during VXP we'll be able to see just a little bit of this stuff. So the main thing that we'll need is countermeasures, is anti-missiles. You know, missile defense system 3s would probably be best. If I'd suggest those or the Phalanx 4s. Usually, depending on the targets, I would say probably not switchblades, because switchblades are like one shot only, and so it's good for accuracy based missiles, but since these targets are going to be mainly missile and corrosive, it's going to be I'm going to think that it's going to be more on lines of more Phalanx 4s, because these switchblades can be you could only put two switchblades on the holes because of the countermeasure. There's only two countermeasure slots on each hull, which is kind of stupid in a way, but we can't rely on one countermeasure hull now. And based on how many missiles there might be, there will be probably overload the switchblades, because they could only do one missile at a time, and the reload on it might be not that good. So one thing to worry about, since it is corrosive and penetrative, scatterguns are going to be part of the issue, and to deal with scatterguns you'll need either the corrosive defense or splash damage reduction. So most likely it's more hyper 30s, hyper 10s if you have if you don't have hyper 30s. That'll be issue there. So these are the turrets that will be in here. The scatter ones will probably be based on kind of like the close range ones, just like how the siege targets had the ballistic turret where it was a low range, but it was probably is very powerful. So this one will do a lot of damage if you get in range of it. So snipe it. I'm pretty sure on the Saturn you'll be able to snipe it, but the Saturn itself has the aura effect that it reduces the defenses on buildings, and the range on that one is 60. I believe that, well, that's, that's a key range right there. 60 is a key range, because I'm sure if you get in 60 range of the scattergun turret, it's going to be firing at you. So I would probably suggest not rushing the scattergun turrets just for the aura effect. Maybe on the missile turrets, then yeah, I would say do that, but not on the scattergun turrets. So yeah, they're saying that it's mainly missiles. So for us drivers, just to kind of kite them, I'd suggest. And use the fog banks to your advantage. Just make sure you kill these viper fish, because they can see you in the fog banks, whereas all the other ships can't, and they'll, run off and that stuff. So yeah, so the fog banks provide cover from most enemy hulls and structures. So even the buildings themselves won't, the turrets and that stuff won't fire on you in the fog banks. So take action on that one. Yeah, anti-missiles. So Viperfish is low on health and low on damage. Durable. So the Stonefish is probably probably going to be the one that will take a couple of hits, and the Ghost Crawler. So that's interesting. Okay, so now that I got understanding of that, let's look into the hulls. So let's go to the Saturn and see, what I can build and that stuff, to, best do it for that one. So the only spots for the countermeasures are the first two slots, so we'll just do countermeasures. Phalanx 4s, if you got them, the best thing would probably be the Missiles Defense System 3s. And you'll only need the anti-missile right here. I'm not sure if you can actually put... No, it doesn't even bring it up. Okay. So you can't put switchblades on here or anything like that. So switchblades can go right here. I would suggest probably not doing that, because they will be overpowered by how many missiles will be coming at you, most likely. Especially if you're the Saturn hull, because you're up close and personal with all the enemy ships, and you're going to be taking a lot of missiles. If we look into the current assault targets that we have, not the Reaver assault targets, but the Draconian assault targets, they have a lot of missiles, and then they do have scatterguns, so you'll need splash and reduction for that. So, okay, so it's right there. So this is the scattergun hull. So the Calypso scattergun will be probably needed, and depending on how many missiles and how good your anti-missile accuracy and reload is, you might need just one or two. I'm not sure if you'll need two. So I'm going to probably set this up for just one, and then it might change until we get to see the actual target, because one anti-missile on each hull might be able to cover all the missiles that we need. Uh-oh, it crashed on me. Thank you. Anyways, so thinking. So since these are subs, I'm debating whether to put one of my hulls. It's probably going to be my flagship, or something like that, to have Sonic Targeting 4, because Sonic Targeting 4 gives you the detection. And so it might not be needed for this because you'll be able to, they'll rise, before they get in range. But for planning, where you are and that stuff, and to know where the subs are, is a key ingredient. Because I remember back in the when we had the fang tooths and that stuff, that they would rise for you whenever they came to you and that stuff. Uh, but it was really hard to figure out where they're going, especially whenever the berserkers, I forgot what they're called, but they rush in whenever you kill one of their the subs. They berserk and rush in real quick. So, and they'd sometimes catch me out by surprise. So I might probably bring the idea into the Nemesis build. I don't think you'll need it for the Saturn build. Why are you not working? Game room is acting like crap. I might have to sign in on Kixeye. But that's going to be one thing. So sonic targeting might be a big help in this, to where you're planning and that stuff. When, like I said, we don't know until the we get the idea of what this is. Hopefully, for VXP, they'll give us the the preview target and that stuff. Notice that these do have thermal, so if you do throw in subs in this, they'll obviously find you and kill you. There we go. Okay, so let's go back to where we were. Full screen that. So, okay, I had the Missile Defense System 3. I was actually looking into the Saturn. Okay, there we go. So we had the Calypsos on this one, and depending on how many missiles they are in these targets, for now I'd say one should be enough, depending on your reload and your accuracy, of course. So let's look into the types of damage types for this sucker. Let's see. Yeah, we have the assault battery. You see, we have roaring barrel system, and that was the Manticore scatter one. So let's try that one for starters. And then we have the Saturn high volatility. Fuck it. The cartridges. So the good thing about this is it stacks. So most specials that have increased damage, such as like the roaring barrel system, it has increased damage, and this one has increased corrosive damage. Both of those are corrosive damage increases. We don't usually have that types of stacking, so that is very good for this hull. It gives you more damage, than you can, and also the fact that this roaring barrel system gives you 3+ multi-shot. There's other, scatter specials, like the, scatter gun, the scatter system, that gives you more combat speed, but it only gives you reload and multi-shot too. Whereas, this one gives you reload, damage, and a little bit of combat speed. Not as much, but a little bit. So, the roaring barrel system would probably be best for the Saturn. And then I would highly suggest you using the cartridges with this one. So, we do need a alloy armor, so the COM, because it's corrosive and penetrative. I wouldn't doubt that they're going to bring in a COM 4, so just be mindful that they might come with a COM 4. And maybe a refit will be needed. So that's to watch out for that one. I highly suggest splash damage reduction on the Saturn, because this is, up close personal hull. You'll be in range of their missiles. You'll be in range of the scatterguns. So a Hyper 30, and if you don't have Hyper 30s, maybe the Hyper 10. Those are in the FMs. You could do an ion thruster, but that is specific. This thing can kind of mess with your hull build, because you can't put any turn speed engines on with the ion thruster 4. So you can't put on, say, strike engine 5 or the speed systems at all, because it does have turn speed and it will cancel that. So if you do choose that route, resistors are the things that you'll need. You'll need to do the penetrative resistor or the corrosive resistor. So most likely I'll probably do penetrative, just because it gives you the bonus, and take off this one and put the Hyper 30 in it. So you'll get the penetrative resistor as well as the Hyper 30. Then that gives you splash damage reduction, and that's one big deal against scatterguns. It helps, lighten the damage from the scatterguns. So there's that one. And so we do need the a siege battery of some kind. So assault battery can be a good thing, but notice that this build doesn't have anti help. So it doesn't have any anti-missile boosting. So most likely I would probably suggest, depending on your build, the frontline countermeasure can help if you're looking into countermeasures, because this will boost your countermeasure range. It won't boost your reload of the countermeasures, so that's one thing. Let's see. And if you want to go the route of the assault battery, you could, I wouldn't recommend this, but you could change the Hyper 30 into a countermeasure special. So countermeasure loaders 4 will probably be best, because it gives you the accuracy of the anti-missile accuracy and countermeasure reload. Yeah, that only affects regular countermeasures, so it won't affect your anti-missile reload. Oh, yeah, it does anti-missile range, anti-mort range, anti-missile range, anti-mort accuracy, anti-mort reload. Okay, so you won't get a anti-missile reload on this one. I thought it did. Huh. But it does anti-mortar range and anti-mortar accuracy and anti-mortar reload. But so you can do that one. That'll give you even better reload for the scattergun, 25%. That's not too bad. With a reload of 5, that reloads 60% reload. So there's that. This type of build where you have countermeasures kind of figured out and that stuff. But personally, I would do the Hyper 30 and the frontline countermeasure, because this hull already has the special ability. Oh, this says detection 64. Okay. But yeah, this hull has a special ability of negative 10% corrosive building defense. So you get in range of the buildings, 60 range of buildings, and it will reduce the defense. And this stacks for every Saturn that you have in the range, 60 range. So if you have all the Saturns stacked up in one group and you're killing one turret, then that turret will get negative 50% building defense. But this won't. But you can't use this while the other ships are in a corner somewhere. They have to be in 60 range. Now, looking on to the Saturn is a multiple defense hull, so it has a cap of 5, and for every Saturn you have a defense increase of 10%, and for corrosive and penetrative, and it also adds combat speed. So to be successful with these Saturns, you have to have all 5 hulls in the fleet. The flagship, if you can build it. If you can't, 4 at least. And basing on how well the Eradicators were, and how well the strikes were in the last raid cycle, you need all 5 hulls, or else you're going to be severely handicapped. Now, this this defensive thing is also, it doesn't have a range, so you could park these suckers in the corner, and you still get the defenses. So you could build blank holes and put them in the corner, so that'll work. So far, it's the same principle as the Eradicators and Strikes. That they don't have any range. Like it's throughout the battle, as long as those ships are alive. Saturn Defense Ring. The thing is, it says Saturn Defense Ring, and usually the rings have like a circle, so it doesn't have a circle and it doesn't have a range. So I'm thinking it's full the whole battle, but it might change. I don't know. But this DK ring, it does have a range, so be mindful of that. 60 range. And I think I saw it in a picture or something like that. It's like a big. It looks like it's the sun shining around the Saturn. I don't know. I haven't built it yet, and I don't know how it looks like. So, but so the defenses so far, that we have right now, just on this hull is 92 and 89 for penetrative and corrosive. So, we'll also need some armors for the sucker. The D5 comm are the dual armors that we have right now, penetrative and corrosive defenses. I would highly suggest not putting on the charged armor, because they're going away from charged armors. So they're not a thing. I'm not even sure if it's worth putting on. As for lower targets, it might help, but I would not put them on. I'd do the D5 comm, or if you have the limited armors, the D6M or the D6CO, because those give 30% defense, and they have a repair time of 1 second. So basically, they don't have repair times. But the D5 comms do have a 22-minute repair time, so that can stack up and add to your hull. Now, we did see the ferrite armor come into play for these siege targets. So we might get a ferrite armor comm. So, that gives us the 20% defense increase and repair duration of 1 second. So hopefully we get to see that. It's not coming in this FM this week. The week of the 21st. So, and bounty and that stuff. So it might come into a TLC. Who knows? So for now, I'd probably do comm armors right now. And then, as you can see, there's a CIC slot. So when you upgrade your Saturn, you can put a CIC on it, and there's going to be 2 CICs loaded for the Saturn. Sadly, if we were to switch to Manticore real quick, the CICs for the Manticores, they did a recent change. All these CICs for the Manticore are only for the Manticore and the flagship. So they didn't have a limiting. I'm not sure how long it's been like that. I'm pretty sure that's recent just because of the Saturn. So you can't put any other CICs on this hull. So you'll have to use the Saturn, a specific one. So, and that will also, there's one that boosts the speed, I believe, no, the evade and speed, and the other one boosts the defense. So, you'll get more defense out of this. So right now it's 96 and 95. So, if you want to kind of keep it, good, even. Oh no, not that one. Come on, it's kind of slow. So CO armor, let's see how that goes. So yeah, there's 96 and 96. So, and this hull, I'd probably suggest maybe boosting it to being a corrosive, because you can counter the missiles, especially if you have if you have 2 anti-missiles on here, and then you have the frontline countermeasure special on here, and you could counter them more. So I'd probably suggest high corrosive defense, and then you'll get the bonus from the special ability, the Saturn rings, which gives you 10% on each in combat speed. So that will be my ideas of building right here. The armors are just temporary. I don't know exactly how it'll be, because we don't know if we're going to have another comm armor. Hopefully we do. We don't know anything in the future. So the armors can be changed up. I would suggest doing this type of special build, and the weapon build. If you're if you have more and you're kind of worried about the missiles, then you put 2 of them if you can. They also add penetrative defense, so that helps as well. So you just get less damage. But so that would be the Saturn build that I would do. So let me do a quick snip of that. I'll save it. Okay. Actually, I'll share this one, the copy of that. Yay! And post that. Okay. So I'll save that one, that build code right there. And so let's look into the Nemesis. So the Nemesis is the skill hull, or the tactical hull, I believe it's called, and then the strategic hull is the Saturn. But basically, it's the auto. I wouldn't suggest autoing, but if you wanted auto, the Saturn would be the auto hull. The Nemesis would be the tactical hull, or just the skill hull per se. So, what I'm thinking about doing is, it's kind of hard to think, because with these targets, we don't know how easy it is to get hit by the scatterguns. And as the current assault targets, we do have those cryo missiles, and those are splash damage, and they will always hit you and that stuff. So in that sense, we do need Hyper 30 if we're going to go base this on the old assault targets, because those things will they're uncounterable and they will always hit you. So in that sense, we do need Hyper 30, and that's probably going to be a big problem with the Nemesis X if you do use that against the current assault targets, is because the missiles, the cryo missiles, will hurt probably a lot, especially if you stack them, and then that's going to hit all of your ships. So it's going to be annoying, but hopefully. So there's a couple of specials that are for missiles. The carbon fiber casing is probably needed there. Let me see. So there's assault battery that you could do. Countermeasure loaders. And then there's the new special, the Prometheus missile system, which that looks good in all its glory, but the only thing it is its countermeasures. You do get missile critical damage, and my ideas of that, it it's good and all. You do see a difference, but uh, I mean, you're still taking the chance of critical damage. So you could put it on there, but there might be other specials that are better than that one. And in this case, then, if you were to do the Prometheus missile system, then the assault battery and that stuff. And then you could do a lot of, that stack the engines together. So Strike System 5 will have the missile boosting and the combat speed, and so that's your engines and that stuff. So then you can, so that's your countermeasure special, and then you also need the comm. So that could be a basic build right there. The only problem is, which I was thinking, looking into the manticores and how my manticores are set up. Some of my manticores only had Strike System 5, and some of them had the, what was it called? The advanced optical tracking. So I was kind of confused because I've noticed that all of my manticores were retargeting, and that's one thing that I suggest having on your hull is retargeting. So I was wondering, why were my manticores retargeting whenever they had Strike System 5? Because Strike System 5 does not have retargeting at all. So I looked, I was asking in Discord, and the answer was the Stinger missile has retargeting on itself. So you don't have to have a retargeting special or anything like this. But here's the difference: the Assault Missile X does not have retargeting. So any missile that you shoot on your reload and that stuff, once the ship dies and their missiles are going to it, it will not retarget to another ship, which is really good because it, you could shoot farther than your regular missiles, than your range is. You could shoot, ships behind the ship that you killed and that stuff. And I always liked retargeting because it's not wasted missiles. Usually, they'll, if once your missiles kill the target and you shoot on that target again, it goes down into the water. Whereas if you have retargeting, you can, shoot it and it'll go to a different target, and you're not wasting that reload, which a lot of things gets wasted. Especially, I saw it during the siege raid, the siege cycle. The eradicators, they keep on firing and firing, and the sad thing is they don't have retargeting. So a lot of the reloads would go to dead buildings, and so that was a waste of damage, a waste of reload. So in this sense, that this will not have a wasted salvo, so you're not wasting damage to dead things. So I'm probably going to go with not Strike System 4, not the Prometheus, but take that off. I'll probably a lot of people, they're going to go with, I saw people putting on laser. It adds 60% accuracy, and that's pretty good, and it means it's retargetable too, so that's good. But there's better specials out there. There's the advanced tracking, optical tracking, and if you don't have that one, there's the guided missile system. So this will boost your penetrative range and penetrative accuracy, and it's retargetable. So there's other specials out there than just laser. So I would suggest the optical tracking for this one, because you get range, projectile speed, and accuracy. So it's all grouped into one, and it's a very good special for missiles, so that the Assault X missile will retarget. And so because you do, if you were to use that special, you can't use Strike System, and you could use speed systems, but for defensive purposes, I'd probably do corrosive resistors or penetrative resistors. So Depending on how well you want how you want the armor slots and the armor of this hull to be. So let's finish up the missiles I have right there. And that is really strange because that was the first time I actually realized that I didn't think that weapons had specific retargeting and that stuff. We don't see that on any hull, other ship. And then there's a lot of ships that do have retargeting already in, like the Apollo. The Apollo has retargeting true, and that's one hull that does have it, but others don't. So a lot of ships don't have it. If you look back at the Manticore doesn't have retargeting, so looks like the Apollo was a retargeting true, and was the Phoenix? Oh yeah, Phoenixes were also retargetable true as well. So that's a whole stat that can be helpful, but the Nemesis doesn't have that. So you'll have to give it retargeting if you want that feature, and I highly suggest putting retargeting on it, because that will help. So then we could go, like I said with the comm armors, just be mindful that there'll be, other, there might be a ferrite comm, or who knows, a new armor. It's not in this week, so that's the defensive. It's more penetrative based. You could change that with some corrosive limited. I don't have those, so I'm mainly hoping for the new armors. I really hope I could get the new armors if they have them, so that'll be good. So unlike the Saturn, this Nemesis doesn't have the special ability of defensive boosting. So you can theoretically have only 3 of these holes, 4 of these holes, or you can have all 5 of these holes, and the only benefit you get for having all those holes is the combat speed reduction. So the Nemesis has negative 15% combat speed with a range of 110. So anything in that 110 range gets slowed down and all that stuff. And so this is ideally for kiting and that stuff, and kiting the ships around and kind of making them go to your pace. But just looking at this, you're getting 15% times 5. So this sucker is going to slow down the enemy ships quite a bit, depending on how fast the ships are. So that's one thing. Either it's going to make them go to a crawl, or they're going to be super fast and you actually need all 5 of these holes in order to be manageable speed, so that you could kite them relatively easily. So that's kind of scary in its way and not stuff. So but this will be a type of build right here. Notice that it doesn't have any anti-missile accuracy or reload and that stuff, but the hull itself has accuracy on it. So yeah, anti-missile accuracy of 30%. So if we compare it to other hulls, the best one would be the Phoenix, because that has anti-missile accuracy of 35%. Whereas, let's see, whereas the Manticore has only 25 accuracy. So, but it does have an anti-missile range of 10%. And then this one has anti-missile range of 15%. But the Nemesis X doesn't have any range booster, and it has medium accuracy. So compare it to the Manticore and Phoenix. This one is in the middle for the anti-missile accuracy. So be mindful of that. If you're worried about missiles and that stuff, and since this is missile based, the best thing to do would probably make it into frontline countermeasure system, so you get the range of it, you get the anti-missile accuracy added to it. So, and then you'll also get the turret defense because, you know, it'll just only be it'll take longer to kill the turrets and stuff like that. But whenever you can outrange them and shoot down all the missiles from the turrets, there's not really a point to having the turret damage there. You can take as long as you want to kill those turrets, so that's, you know, always a plus. And it'll also help against the missiles from the ships. If you don't have this on there, you know, the range will be a lot less, and then the accuracy won't be as good. So the accuracy is 64% right there. So, you know, 30% compared to 64%. If you have this anti-missile accuracy, this will help, you know, shoot down all the missiles and targets. Whereas if you don't have it, then, you know, you might be missing a lot of you know, missiles. So this is probably going to be the build I do for mine, depending on the resistors, which resistor I have or not. It all depends. So, but and you know, you could put on 2 missile defense systems. So if you have, you know, oh wait, what? Oh, I put missiles. Okay, countermeasure. So if you have 2 of them, then you could probably, you know, see it's 97, 96. Then you could put a corrosive resistor on this sucker, so that it kind of evens out to being, you know, 96, 97. So it's all also based on your armors too. So just be mindful of all those. You know, to offset if you have missiles defense system or 2 Phalanx 4s, then it's probably best to put a corrosive resistor to counteract that. Unless you really want to stack on missile defense, then you'll be fine. Just be mindful that the corrosive can and will hurt you, depending on how your corrosive defense is. So, right there is, this is the max defenses you'll get right here. And looking at it, let's see if we can do D6. Okay, so looks like 98, 94. Oof. So let's do that. So 97, 96. Let's try. Oh, not in the radioactive. Kind of messed. There we go, corrosive. So it takes a little bit of playing. So 96, 96. So hopefully, if we get the new armors, then it will be, you know, better. So my current build will be just 1 anti-missile. So I'll put this there, and I will do a new one. Screenshot of this. And the armors will change, you know, depending on if we get the new armors and that stuff. So that will be right there. And I will save those 2 just in case, and I'll put them in the description of the video so that everyone can see them. And if they want to change the armors, it'd be a lot easier than just to go through this. So, but this is my ideas and design of this hull. It looks similar to a lot of people, so yeah, I did get my ideas from some other people though. But this is basically probably the best thing to do so far that we have seen. We don't know yet, and you know, for all we know, we probably won't even need the Hyper 30. So you know, hopefully, if we don't need it, then that's good. Then we could, you know, do other specials here. Then we could put this into the countermeasure special, and then put this as a siege special. So it's all depending on the target right now. But basically, I would do, you know, optical tracking, carbon fiber casing, and then the engines and the armor. So hopefully this helps you, pirates, in doing the new assault targets. I'll see what I can do with the assault VXP targets, if they have the preview VXPs like they, you know, would, kind of like a last siege. They showed us how the siege targets will look like and how they kind of act. My Manticores aren't really that great, but I can still test them out and see how well they do. And I only have one Nemesis X right now, and hopefully I'll have two, maybe three by VXP. What's day is it? Thursday. Yeah. Hopefully I'll have three based on FM tokens. So, but this will be my build. So until next time, pirates.